This video is aimed to train beginner interviewers and first-time managers by improving their basic skills and knowledge on the varying duties and responsibilities required during and after the interviewing process. First, let's establish the roles and responsibilities of the interviewer. They are divided into two categories: screening and branding. Screening is the responsibility in selecting the appropriate candidates who applied for recruitment positions. And for that, we'll explain the basic knowledge and skills required from the interviewer in this video. Branding is about the duty in positively improving the company image while interacting with the candidate during the interview process. It's important for the interviewer to be aware that they are representing Panasonic and that they need to be mindful about their behavior. This is an example of a 30-minute interview. First, break the ice to ease the nerves and create an environment that becomes easier for the candidate to talk in. Briefly introduce yourself and proceed to formally begin the interview. As a guideline, the Q&A process should be no longer than 25 minutes. At the end, allow the candidates to ask any questions they may have, and then explain the next steps in regards to the subsequent process. Please be mindful to be sincere with candidates until the very end. Now that we've established the roles and responsibilities, let's take a look at how an interview may look like.
Thank you very much for coming here today. Could you find the place all right?
Yes.
An interview is often a place where candidates may feel some nerves, so it's important to ease the tensions, and part of your skill is to create a friendly environment. Start off with light conversation topics like the weather or traffic.
Your application for the product management position. Thank you.
Now that you've broken the ice a bit, let the candidate know that you are grateful for their application, followed by a brief introduction of yourself, and you're now able to disclose more information. Once the interviewer's introduction has finished, proceed into what is the highlight of the interview process, the questions and answers. Start off by asking the candidates to introduce themselves and to talk about their work history. As the candidate is speaking, pay close attention and note down the key points of their past experiences and observe their behavior. This point here is to avoid yes or no type of closed questions that do not encourage a two-way conversation. The most important element is to focus on the way the candidate showcases their thought processes, the way they behave, and the content of what they're saying. The Q&A is there to stimulate productive and effective communication. So what makes effective communication? Let us explain in more detail. In an interview process, one of the most important things is to be able to correctly identify who your candidate is. Though the interview is done both through language and nonverbal communication, the point is to fully recognize and understand what the candidate is saying by asking detailed follow-up questions. Active listening and questioning are open question techniques used to allow the candidate to provide specific examples and for the interviewer to understand behavioral characteristics. Active listening is a way to go in further depth about what the candidate is saying by asking for fact-based examples. Listen carefully and confirm anything that is unclear by politely paraphrasing. When changing the topic, ask questions that will allow the candidate to showcase their background and details on their past work, as well as concrete behaviors and actions taken in certain situations. In the accompanying document to this video, we'll explain in further detail on how active listening can become a powerful tool for the interviewer. There are 3 typical traps an interviewer may fall into when interviewing their candidate. 1. Passively listening. 2. Interrupting. And 3. Not taking appropriate notes. Let's take a closer look at some examples for each mistake.
Please describe your career.
Well, I joined the current company as a new graduate in 2010, and since I've been with the system development department. As a product manager, I'm assigned to lead 4 members and in charge of a wide range of tasks.
If he has experience managing 4 people, he must presumably also know about budget management too.
Education and support of my subordinates. What I was mainly focused on
In your
was...
position, have you participated in the actual implementation of technical support or projects?
We visit a client with the sales representative and explain the product roadmap. And
For the next question, I will ask him to share a success story and observe his behavior.
and teach them how the product will be used.
Did you notice anything that was wrong? Please review the 3 mistakes.
Please tell me about a success story at your current or previous employer.
As a product manager, I was involved in a series of tasks. One of them was improving internal readiness. Since the product is new, we needed information from overseas. Shared it with the team, verified the product, focused on enhancing internal readiness by holding training sessions, mainly for sales and consultants. The skill sets of our trainees, and as well as bring awareness to the products. And the second was to create success stories. In my country, customers often make decisions based on, in order to create a successful case, it is important to sell the product and make the system safe after installation. So I was in charge of product training for sales, and
He will most likely talk about other achievements too.
verification process. And the 2 points I mentioned, and made the first success story for the company in my country.
Thank you very much for sharing your success story with us. In the event we offer you a position, are you open to receiving a reduction in salary?
Did you notice anything that was wrong? Please review the 4 mistakes.
Please tell me in what areas you would like to improve yourself.
I would improve how I prioritize my time in regards to work.
I like what he is talking about, but he kind of speaks in an intimidating tone. Let me make a note of that on his resume.
I would attend workshops, study classes, or I would just study it myself.
He is quite confident, which is a great asset, but maybe that also means he will talk a lot about himself and look down on others.
Definitely, there's moments where I have certain.
His appearance is a bit flashy, and the perfume is too strong. Let me make a note of that on his resume.
More engagement in the conversation by being a better listener. Maybe that could be a good improvement point, but.
Did you notice anything that was wrong? Please review the 3 mistakes.
Well, thank you very much for giving me such a detailed explanation of your background and your experiences. That was very helpful. Now, at this
An
point,
important point here is to remember that the interviewer is representing Panasonic. So be sure to answer any additional questions seriously for the candidate to remember the company positively.
Which you have for development.
Okay, well, as you know, we have a very strong reputation in training as a corporation. In terms of what actual training you would receive in your department, I would have to check with the department to which you'd be assigned. So let me make a note of that and come back to you in due course when I have those answers. Do you have any other questions?
Finally, inform the candidate about the next steps in regards to the subsequent interview process and when the result is available.
Thank you very much for coming here today. It's been great to
After
meet you.
wrapping up, thank the candidate for coming to the interview and see them off politely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Panasonic.